For GS paper 1, talking about some of the confusing questions and the errata. Now the first question where students have brought up doubts are regarding the LISA question. If you go onto the official website, you would have only LISA Pathfinder as the mission name. Now under LISA Pathfinder, you had the various developments. For example, under Nahalem, you have the various cores that developed. Similarly, any system that develops has various evolution. In one of the news in The Hindu, which was cited in 2016, it talked about 1 million kilometer long arm length of the e-Lisa or the evolved Lisa. However, in 2017, another ruling had come up which talked about an arm length of 2.5 million kilometer length. So, what we need to understand is to go by what has been the recent updates first of all, and understanding what the actual project is being asked about. Now the next question here is, here it's very important to understand there were lots of doubts raised regarding the statement 1. Now understand it in this fashion: I can have numerous chapters in the book. Now the book can be chapterized, but it's not necessary that the book mentions the word chapter. Similarly, a constitution can have a structure, but it is not required that the word basic structure is mentioned in the constitution. And that's where this question was a little dicey, because a lot of students have confused it with the concept that there is no mention of the word basic structure in the constitution. I agree, there is no mention of the word basic structure in the constitution by itself, but definitely there is a structure on which the constitution is being based, and Keshav Nandan Bharti case was one of the major cases that basically helped this evolve further. So this statement talks about defining the basic structure of the constitution. It is not saying about the presence of word basic structure in the constitution. So be very careful, and if we consider this, we would have this statement as a correct statement. Now the next question, yes, here there was an important catch. It says the person who is eligible to vote. So it's not eligible to vote, but at least 25 years of age to be appointed as a member of Legislative Assembly. Now the rest of the cases, that is the 6 months period and the 6 months period basically is correct. Okay, so the only important catch here was it's not a person who is eligible to vote but 25 years of age. So that was a kind of little dicey language that was there, and therefore this first statement is incorrect. The second statement is again incorrect because it is a period of imprisonment for 2 years, and that basically talks about 6 years after the release a person cannot file. So this was brought about in 2013, and Lily Thomas versus Union of India case is important in this aspect. So both the statements are incorrect here. The next question is, the President of India can summon a session of the Parliament at a place and a time he or she thinks fit for under Article 85(1). Again, the constitution does not provide for 3 sessions. It simply says that there should be at least a gap of not more than 6 months of gap between the 2 sessions. So not more than 6 months gap between the 2 sessions is the only criteria, and there is no minimum number of days that the Parliament is required to meet in a year. So 1 and 3 is the right option. Now, under the MP LADS scheme, there was a doubt that in some of the areas where you do not have SC/ST population, this statement does not hold true. However, taking a citation from the MP LADS official website, we have a clear-cut recommendation that if there is no SC/ST area within the given constituency, they would have to work for that within their state of election. So that proportion of work has to be accomplished in one way or the other, and that was one of the doubts that was laid down. So 1 and 2 are the correct statements, 3 and 4 are not the correct statements that we have already discussed in our original class. Now here, this is a very direct question on fundamental rights. So under fundamental rights, we have right to equality under Article 14 to 18, and the right against untouchability is basically Article 17, and this Article 17 is part of right to equality. So you would have right to equality as your correct option here. Now the next question is again a very important question. A lot of you have raised doubt and concerns about that. This is clearly mentioned in Article 50. Now if you read the lines of Article 50, it says that the state shall take the steps to separate judiciary from executive, and Article 50 is part of the DPSPs. DPSPs are not binding. That means they are not enforceable. Now, what has been mentioned here is the word enjoined. Enjoined in legal terms means they are ordered. Now, when we are asking they are ordered, that means this is not part of the DPSP. Okay, so it is a kind of conventional practice that we have adopted, and you would find a lot of citations which basically say that in India we do not have a explicit separation of judiciary from executive. It is just recommended by the state, and it is not obligatory. So that is where the word enjoined is, and I believe this is the crux of the question. This is where the examiner is trying to actually test the information and the knowledge of the students. The next is, in this question, some of the students have doubt regarding the preamble. We had already talked about in the last class that the preamble of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is separate from the official preamble. Now, when I am saying the preamble of the Declaration of Human Rights is different, in that there was a mention under Article 10. So there are 30 articles under the UN Declaration for Human Rights, and that says, Article 10 says equality by an independent impartial tribunal. Okay, but this is not the overall equality that is being mentioned in the preamble of the Constitution of India. So here we would have DPSP and the fundamental duties as the not the fundamental duties, DPSPs as the right option, not the fundamental duties as well. Okay, so other than fundamental rights, it is mentioned in the directive principles of the state policies, and preamble, this preamble is basically talking about the preamble of the Constitution of India, not the preamble of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So be very particular about the question. Now, besides this, there were two doubts that were raised from the CSAT paper. Now, there was a doubt, there was an interesting way, because we can have numerous number of combinations that could be there. So simply when we are trying to find the difference of two numbers, a square minus b square, we have to find out 63. That means a plus b into a minus b should be 63. Okay, so I'll have to pick up two numbers whose addition and subtraction, the multiplication of that comes out to be 63. Now here, let's take the numbers as 9 and 12. So 9 plus 12 into 12 minus 9. So let A be 12. So you would have 21 into 3, which is 63. Similarly, A and B I can take as 32 plus 31, and then 32 minus 31. So that is 63 into 1, that is again 63. So square of 32 minus 31 square would be one pair. Then you would have 12 square minus 9 square would be another pair. And then similarly you would have 8 square minus 1 square, that would be another pair. So it would be 8 plus 1 and 8 minus 1. Okay, so basically we have to find out the factors of 63. So that is 1, 7, 3 and 9. Then you would have 30. Then you would have combinations of these factors that could be derived for A and B. However, this is again one of the rigorous processes that could be seen, but yes, definitely one way to solve it. So we have 3 factors that would be coming up here. The next question is, in how many different sums can be formed by denominations 50, 100, 200, 500 and 2000, taking at least 3 denominations at a time. The important thing to note here is we mistakenly took only 3, but it says at least 3. So we found out the combinations for 3. We have to also find out the combinations for 4 and 5, because it is at least 3. So minimum 3. That means out of these I am in one round picking minimum 3. Then in the second round I am picking minimum 4. And in the last round I am picking minimum 5 or 5 of those. Okay, so it would be 5C3 plus 5C4 plus 5C1, and then you would have 16 as the right option here. So this is how you basically solve these questions. So the crux here was we missed out the word at least. Okay, so we just calculated on 3 denominations, but we would have to calculate it for 4 and 5 as well. So those were some of the questions that were there for resolution. We would be coming up with many more interesting sessions for you and paper analysis as well. Stay tuned. Have a wonderful day ahead.